Why is it necessary for two people to go?
That's the customary trip that goes out. That's what they suggested, so.
Two eyes.
Yeah.
Can I ask,
Alan?
who's going, and why are they qualified to go? I mean, why are they being qualified, I mean,
I would go because I wrote the spec on it, and I've ordered numerous ambulances in my career.
okay, so you ordered specs on
The
it.
second one is my fleet maintenance liaison for the department, and he would know the spec also, and if there's any issues, he's my guy that would follow up on it.
Anybody else got any questions? And that's part of the contract price?
Correct. It doesn't cost the town other than my
Well,
time
just
away
get-
from the
get-
desk. That's it.
It did cost, they got contracted in somewhere, right?
Yeah, cost somewhere.
Cost somewhere, we didn't get it for free.
Motion to allow the out-of-state travel for Chief O'Brien and one other employee to do the final inspection on the fire truck.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain?
Abstaining? Abstaining. Two abstentions?
I understand the process.
I don't either, I think it's, I mean, if you.
Sue, you want to go, oh, yeah, go ahead, Sue, we've got a couple minutes.
Okay, this sewer service line repair bid result. This project was advertised in Union Leader on the town's website. There were no bidders. Therefore, we did contact Ritchie Construction because they're working in the neighborhood, and they're working up a price for us, but, or at least a quote. But the board would have to authorize anything other than a sealed bid, because we think it will be above that unless you want to go with subcontractors for each phase of it. They have them determined that there's asbestos, but not the asbestos is in the adhesive of the tile, not the tile itself, but abatement's going to be required, cutting through and then laying the pipe, connecting the tie-ins, and filling it in and putting in new flooring.
You've encumbered how much money?
35.
That should be plenty.
Yeah, I'm not happy with not going out, not getting any bids on
Yeah.
it. I think we ought to resub.
It's going to come in more than 35.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, I don't believe that, that's not that much work, it really isn't.
Well, doesn't matter, we haven't got anybody to bid on it. I think we
I
need
know,
to-
we need to go out and bid again,
Yeah, go out to
Go
bid
to
again.
bed again?
yeah, I believe so.
That's I'm just one person.
I'll make a motion, we go out to bid again, just so that we do get it to go out to bid.
Second,
And maybe rewrite the bid a little bit, Sue, or change explanation.
Maybe send it to some vendors too, in case they're not
Yeah.
looking.
well, they may not be looking, some of these guys are busy, so.
Is there any initial portion that can be done in-house?
Let's not do that, let's bid it out.
Yeah.
That's-
Well, the
that'll
first
be a
part is
circus.
cutting through something that has asbestos, and we don't have any
I don't want
asbestos
to start
abaters
splitting
here.
up a job, then it's going to be
Yeah,
Yeah.
tugging the
yeah.
match over.
Okay, so we had a motion by Selectman Lemay, seconded by Selectman Brown to go out to bid. Do we have a vote on that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining, seeing none? We'll go back out to bid. I'm gonna, at this time, it is 6:10. Do we have anybody here for public comment? Seeing none? Sue, continue on.
Okay, budget line transfers at 7F in your packets. Adam is requesting, he's listed a transfer of $20,000 from his part-time line. He couldn't get enough seasonal help this year. Overtime of $57,000 to transfer, and improvement line of $27,000 to transfer that to reclamation.
That's all the money he had left over, right?
Yes.
And he's transferred to reclamation. Is he overspent reclamation? Or is he?
No, we've adjusted the line, because some invoices came in today that we paid, so we've adjusted that line, so you have a more up-to-date encumbrance list that'll pass out when we get to that.
Okay.
But we've assumed that you were okay with this and added that to what's available.
Okay.
The other one, too, is, I'm going to request transferring from the fire department's property insurance line, $5,000 to the Grassmere facility maintenance line. There was an additional cost above the vendor price because of the location of the water line. It was spec'd as one place, and when they dug, it was in a different place, so they had to,
A line for what?
the water line for the hookup on the septic system.
Dig safe when they found that line, Alan?
It wouldn't matter, they're gonna drill under it anyway. I don't know what the difference was.
No, I don't think, I think it was the line for for the building, right?
Yeah.
It
The
was
water
line
line.
for the building, not the water line.
No.
It's the sewer line.
Sir-
Sewer line.
No, the
No,
water,
it was
water line itself.
water
The
line
water
to the
line for the
building.
building.
They had to drill under the road to get
For the
the,
sewer line.
yeah.
Does the sewer project include paving and striping when they're after the,
No, they went under the road.
He wanted to really drill
the
it.
parking lot?
Oh, the parking lot, no.
It's not paving, no.
Well, whatever they disturb, yes, will be done.
Well, there was no
The
paving.
no
landscaping,
paving
the
anyway.
landscaping was disturbed, and that's what we're encumbering money for.
Questions, is it gonna be paved and striped?
We didn't
No.
budget, no,
Just going back to gravel?
Back to that.
at this point, yeah.
Any more discussion on that?
How much
And
did
that was
they,
5,000. The change order, I think, was 3,333, but there are other expenses. We had Rudy in there last week because the heat wasn't working on the second floor, the propane heater. So we had some additional cost up there. So
well,
those
you
are
need a
budget-
motion to accept encumbrances?
Yeah, no, the budget line
Oh,
transfers.
Budget line transfers, I'm sorry.
You making that motion?
Yes, I will. Motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none?
Now the final encumbrance list, which is at 7G, but I got an up-to-date one for you. And this is the one that's in your signature folder. So let me pass this one out.
What are we getting on the sheet? We don't.
Yeah, we paid some invoices since then, so the amount's been reduced to encumber. So we're encumbering the ambulance, that's out of the EMS fund. We're encumbering the service sewer line down here for $35,000. Historic District has ordered the fire station historic marker, that's $1,100. Grassmere facility expense, the $1,500 we're carrying over, that's to do the landscaping in the spring of everything they disturbed over there. Crescent Lane survey, that's the $20,000. West Lawn Cemetery fencing, $43,175 is being carried over. Trailer floor, oh, that's Adams, $13,078. On reclamation, there are 4 carryovers totaling $135,856.38. For a total year-end encumbrance of $479,677.38, which is a little lower than what you had in your book.
Make a motion to approve the year-end encumbrances as presented.
Second calls.
Anybody have any questions, any discussion? All in favor of the motion of approving the year in 2016 year-end encumbrances?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, passes.
Thank you. Tonight, I just wanted to see if you would like to consider a capital reserve fund for land acquisition. Over the years, properties have become available to the town during the year, but we can never react fast enough because we don't have the funds and we have to wait to town meeting. However, if you, and for example, one year there was a foreclosed property behind Grassmere Town Hall, which would have given us another 5 acres for parking and septic and other things. But we couldn't react fast enough, and that got scooped up before we could even get to town meeting. And next year, the town's undertaking the whole Main Street, North Mass Street project, and as you know, in the village plan and also the master plan for the town, we've indicated and documented a need for more parking. Properties may become available, and that would be probably the best time to do it, and to purchase it and to get it into the, that project. We could start a capital reserve fund, and I've had the language okayed, you'll see it in the draft warrant by DRA. They've looked it over. They're comfortable with it because when you name selectmen as agents, you also have to state that you'd still follow that same process of 4114A, which is the 2 public hearings. So if the board's interested in this, and that doesn't mean you have to spend it, this is a non-lapsing account you'd be establishing for any future land purchase. You could also fund it from fund balance, because you have a healthy fund balance.
So you're recommending this as a one-time?
For now, and see how, where it goes.
Go ahead, Collis.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's good long-range planning. Because like you say, Sue, I think we've missed up some golden
You missed the boat a
opportunities
lot.
to pick up a couple pieces of property. It would have helped us a lot, especially in the village area with parking. I mean, it's unfortunate. But I think it's a good way to start it. You know, put it in this time, then see in future years if we want to add to it or not. At least get the seed money in there.
Yep.
And I would think that $250,000 is about right to get it started.
And you would fund that out of the fund balance?
Yeah, yep.
And the law has changed. It changed a couple of years ago, so that money has to be paid over to the trustees of trust fund within 30 days of town meeting if it passes. So it would be available to you.
Any discussion? You want
I'll make that motion that we start a capital reserve fund for land acquisition. I forget what the RSA is, Sue, but you can.
Yep.
Oh, there it is, 41:14-A. And use $250,000 from the unassigned fund balance for the first initial deposit into the account.
Second.
any discussion? David, you're shaking your head. That means you have discussion.
Waiting for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Seeing none. Good. Motion passes.
Still have time, or?
Well,
We can do the warrant after,
okay,
6:20 is the oath of office, so.
right.
Aye.
Yeah, I don't think we got time. We're gonna, why don't you, if somebody, they're gonna come in, why don't you bring them in? Is it Pelter?
Pelletier. Pelletier.
You think that's how you spell Pelletier?
Pelletier? Is that how it's spelled?
No, it's Peltier.
That's the way I work with the guys.
Oh, really?
By the way. This
Really?
way, this way, yeah.
Peltier? Yeah. So it's Peltier, really? It's not Pelletier.
I spelled it wrong in the report, my report then, if the oath of office is different.
I don't know, that's why I was asking. I don't want to say the guy's name.
I think the chief
Pelletier.
pronounced it in non-public as
Pelletier.
Pelletier.
You didn't pronounce it Pelletier.
I think so.
Pelletier.
I'll make sure for you.
Good Irish name.
Yeah. I think I said, no, thank you, thank you very much.
He's all fancy.
Evening, Lou, how are you?
Lou, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Fine, sir.
No, good, thank you.
Peltier?
Glad I asked.
See, what I tell you?
I work with Rainey Pelletier, that's
I
what
know.
it's spelled, and that's how you pronounce it.
Senator, how are you? Good.
No, I
Oh,
don't.
it's here.
You're,
Here it's Pelletier. This one's Peltier.
It's spelled differently.
Yeah.
Your coworker, Anna Ford,
Peltier.
said, he says, of course, I said to her, she's Anna Ford, she's a character.
Wow, yeah.
She's good people.
What a turnout, yes.
She says, what's name is
I think that's everybody. If you're ready to go, I'd like to maybe just introduce our first one. Is that okay?
What we have tonight is a couple of appointments. Chief Brown, why don't you go ahead and take over?
Sure. Thank you again to the board for allowing us the opportunity to showcase our new employees and our promotions. Thank you to Sue for helping coordinate this. As I mentioned before, the public gets to see our newest officers firsthand, and we're certainly proud of them, and certainly it's an opportunity for us to showcase promotion as well. So, where's Dan? Come on up. Stand right here with me, okay? All right, so I have for you Daniel Peltier. Peltier? That's good, yeah. Perfect, all right. Dan was recently hired by us in June. He hails from Leicester, Massachusetts. Upon his graduation from there, Dan attended Sansom College. He was a criminal justice and a Spanish major. This past Friday, he graduated from the 171st Police Academy. And Dan, if you have some family members you'd like to introduce?
That's my mom, Kathy, right there. My younger brother, Timothy. My girlfriend, Melissa. And that's my father, Donald.
They don't look anything alike. So, Mr. Chair, if you'd like to do the oath.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, why don't you come right over? I'm gonna hand you one of these, and when I tell you to, you're gonna read.
Okay.
And it says, "To Daniel Peltier of Goffstown, in the county of Hillsborough, whereas there is a vacancy in the office of police officer in the town of Goffstown Police Department, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, we do hereby appoint you, the said Daniel Peltier, a police officer of the said town, and upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and certificate of said oath of the office recorded by the town clerk, you should have the powers to perform the duties and be subject to the liabilities of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead." Now, down below, you're going to read, right here?
Yep.
This is your name, and just read it out.
Okay. I, Daniel Peltier, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as police officer according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the United States Constitution, rules and regulations of the Constitution, and laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the town of Goffstown. So help me God.
You're done. Congratulations.
Mr. Chair, do you want him to sign before
Yeah,
he
we've got
does
to sign
his
some stuff here.
pinning?
Why don't you come on down to my end while we can talk about Tommy?
As tradition, when Dan's done, we have a family member that he chooses to pin on his badge. So as soon as he's done doing his formalities, I'm sure he's probably going to have
You have to
somebody
sign.
in the middle row. Mom, this is where you may be able to get back.
He knows what's good for him. And we'll get you a copy. You want you over here also, put your names in here. Okay. I hope you pick somebody that knows how to stab, because you don't want to be stabbed in the chest.
Dan, who do you want to,
Then my mom.
all right. Hopefully you were good.
Tough shirts.
They are tough shirts, huh?
Mr. Chair, before we get into the next one, if I can just acknowledge Senator D'Alessandro, there is no more champion of law enforcement and first responders than he is, so I want to thank you. Moving on to promotional pinning, Lieutenant Tom Hammond. I'm sure he doesn't have any family or friends here. So I had written a bunch of stuff down, and when I realized I had just written this just a couple years ago. So Tom seems like he's getting promoted every now and then. But Tom's a local Goffstown kid. For those of you that don't know him, he struck it well, attending St. Anselm College right out of high school, and just recently finished his master's degree from Southern Hampshire University in Business Administration. Tom's held pretty much almost every position that he possibly can, from patrolman, detective, to sergeant, and certainly everything in between. So, Tom, if you want to come on over. You're going to go next to Mr. Chairman there.
Yes, sir.
So it says, "To Thomas Hammond of Goffstown, County of Hillsborough, whereas there is a vacancy in the office of Police Lieutenant in the Town of Goffstown Police Department, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, we do hereby appoint you, the said Thomas Hammond, a police lieutenant of the said town, and upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and certificate of said oath recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers to perform the duties and be subject to the liabilities of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. So just read this here, Tom.
I, Thomas Hammond, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as police lieutenant according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the United States Constitution, rules and regulations of the Constitution, and laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinance of the town of Goffstown. So help me God.
Congratulations. Put your name here, then you're gonna sign these two down. Sure.
Tom, before we get to the pinning, I'm certain that the senator has a little something he'd like to be able to acknowledge you with, Senator, if you'd like to take the stage for me.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
To all of our guys, Zip, great to see you. I mean, I feel like I'm in paradise when I see you. I know that every crime will be prosecuted properly, and where's your ace man over here? To the families, I think one of the most important things in this life is civic duty and civic responsibility, and the ability to commit yourself to serving the public. And as a police officer, you stand between the crime, the adversary, and those who want to do harm to the public. And you risk your life to do that. That's an awesome responsibility. And I think in Goffstown, we're very proud of our police department. We're certainly proud of our fire department for the work that they have done. And I think we have an accomplished chief who I feel is one of the best that I have been associated with.
Pay you later.
You know, in today's world, all of the acrimony is coming forward from individuals, and it's against our police officers and our firefighters. And as a result of that, it takes a certain individual to do the job and to be committed to the job. And Tommy's been committed to the job. I've known his father for many, many years. He actually ran against me one time. And great family, great tradition. And it's an honor for me as your state senator to be here and to read this resolution honoring Tom Hammond. The New Hampshire Senate, a resolution. Be it known that the New Hampshire State Senate extends its congratulations to Tom Hammond in recognition of his promotion to lieutenant with the Goffstown Police Department. And be it further known that the New Hampshire State Senate extends its best wishes for continued success. Signed by Senator Lou D'Alessandro from District 20 on December 22nd, 2016. Tommy, congratulations. And to this wonderful Board of Selectmen, thanks for having us here.
No, thank you for coming, Senator.
So, Lieutenant, before we do the pinning, I'm sure you have a few distinguished folks you'd like to point out to everybody here.
Just my entire family.
Just.
All my friends out back and all my fellow police officer friends and family and everybody. Thanks for coming. My new friends, the Peltiers. Thank you.
Who we haven't pinned?
2 kiddos. Jojo, get up here, buddy. You know what you're doing?
How's this gonna work?
Who's got the bandages?
Oh, my goodness.
Help me, Mike.
Very good.
Perfect.
Way to go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're good.
You good?
So you guys don't have to stay.
Come on. It's the first time we've had anybody attend the meeting. Stay.
Chasing them all out on us. Thank you. Okay.
Stealing David's cookies?
My wife got motivated after drinking yours.
Oh, jeez.
She wanted me to give you.
Thank you. See you later. I bet it is. I'll try it. Oh, goodness.
You pass those over to Sue.
Merry Christmas to you.
Sue?
Oh, thank you.
Here's your one.
Large crowd, huh? Good showing.
Let's, get out, close the door.
Yeah.
Get out.
Hey, well, it doesn't hurt. We got a drink.
Sue, do you have could I have a couple of minutes?
Oh, boy.
Chairman, we have a 7, good time. Mr. Dickinson at 6:50, so. We have time.
What's that?
If my watch is right.
What's that? Finish?
No, yeah, you can, of course you can, Sue. Lou. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Oh, my pleasure. I just want to take this opportunity, obviously, to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. But to give you a quick update on the state CAFR. The state CAFR, as of meeting of the fiscal committee, the report has been extended to the 31st of January, which means that we'll get the results of fiscal year 16 by the 31st. It appears, on a preliminary basis, the state will end with a significant surplus, about an $80+ million surplus. And as you know, by virtue of the operating budget that's in place, $40 million will immediately go into the reserve account, the rainy day fund. That's accompanied by $30 million from the Exxon settlement. So there's $70 million more that will be in the rainy day fund. And the perception is that at the end of the biennium, close of the year, fiscal year 17, there'll be $153 million in the rainy fund, the revenue stabilization fund. So questions have been coming my way about a couple of things, and I want to make all of you aware of them. These sober houses have been popping up around the state and in the communities. There's a great deal of controversy about these sober houses, how they're funded, how the individuals who attend these sober houses pay for their sustaining themselves there, their room and board, and what really happens at these sober houses. In Manchester, spoke with the health department, spoke with the fire chief. There are 2 of these sober houses, and in the past week we've had 2 overdose deaths in these sober houses. So there's a concern about, are these sober houses licensed? Are they properly maintained, properly supervised? So we've got to get our arms wrapped around that. Now, these are popping up around the state, brought to our attention by a group in Franklin. And as a result of that, Senator Andy Sanborn called a meeting in Concord. We had the meeting in the State House, and we agreed to look at this and to see what could be done in terms of how do you regulate this situation. Everybody wants to get into the recovery business today. The question is, are they properly supervised? Are they properly maintained? Who's getting in there and what's happening inside of one of these facilities? So we're on it, we're on it. The second thing is, people have been asking me, what about all the money that we have appropriated? And we appropriated over $20 million. And over $20 million has gone through Governor and Council in terms of treatment services offered throughout the state. I'm following that, trying to get a handle on, once a contract has been issued and given out, what's happening? What are we doing in terms of the service? Are we providing the services to the individuals? Had a talk with the Commissioner of Health and Human Services today, and I've got the Legislative Budget Office following each one of those contracts, so we'll be able to know what's going on. I mean, getting the money out the door is a key issue. Doing that properly, obviously, is the really key issue, and going to stay on top of that. But as our constituents, people want to know what we're doing with regard to the opioid crisis. Another part of the interdiction process has been Operation Granite Hammer. And to this date, all of the money has been sent out. Most of the money is used for overtime for police officers doing, special duty in the different communities. Goffstown did get some money from Granite Hammer. I believe there was an application put in, they got some money. Manchester got some money, and it's been used to, to interdict and to try to get some things done. So that's kind of a quick update on where we are. As soon as the CAFA is released, I'll make an appointment through Sue to come here and share the CAFA with you, because I think it's important to know what we're funding, where the money is, where the money's going, and what's left. But indeed, fiscal year 16 was a tough year for the state. The opioid crisis has not abated at all, and we've spent a lot of money. We really have spent a lot of money to try to, get the dealers, stop the flow of drugs. But the situation has gone from cheap heroin available on the streets to a very dangerous drug, fentanyl. And these deaths are being caused by fentanyl. And that fentanyl is moving very, very quickly throughout the state. And as I'm told by the police officers who are on the case and by law enforcement, as you move further up the state, the cost of the drug increases. And it increases because it's now become a marketing tool. And the dealers are doing profitability. And they're making a lot of money. And there's a tremendous demand for these drugs. And hard for me to understand that, but it's there. We have to deal with it, and we got to deal with it in two phases. We've got to curtail it in terms of law enforcement, and then we've got to provide treatment and recovery. So that's a quick update, Mr. Chairman, on where we are and what we're doing at this point in time. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Anybody have any questions, Senator? Well, we do appreciate you coming in and updating us on what's going on. We look forward to seeing you probably in February.
Yep, whenever, hopefully. And as I said, Merry Christmas to everybody, and
Same to
let's
you,
hope
sir.
for a happy and prosperous fiscal year 17. Calendar year 17,
Calendar year.
as I get older. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Sue,
Thank
another
you,
great
Senator.
job by Sue DeRusso.
Absolutely.
And I did send Sue all of the monies that Goffstown received. I gave her the spreadsheet, and got a little bit more based on the gas tax, not much, but we'll try to get
Take it.
that 25, yeah, we'll
Take
try to
it
get as
we
much
can
as we can. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, sir. Good night.
Chief, did you want to come down?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you once again for indulging us. So our project that we had, just to kind of refresh, 2011-ish or so, we identified the need to repurpose a single space within our building, back storage area, to put into a training room and have it equal as our emergency operations center. As you know, currently, the emergency operations center is in the heart of our building, in the operations room. We wanted to take a certain amount of impact fees that you folks had voted on for us to establish that. As the year went by, we started recognizing the need to expand our focus on what we were trying to do. And I think that, our building now is mid-'80s, and I think that it probably needs some type of a needs assessment to figure out where we're going to be at with this building, where we're going to be with this building, I guess, in 10, 15, or 20 years. Some type of an outlook for for those people that are going to be, here well after, well after I am. And I think that the understanding that to take this amount of money to put into one particular space in the building probably needs to be looked at in a broader range and identify what are we going to need in 5 years and in 10 years and in 20 years. So, speaking it over with Sue, we have a pretty good amount of usable space within our building, including our basement, which is pretty much taken up by major amount of bulk record storage. And, I think a long-term outlook project for this would be the development of trying to figure out storage needs for that, to be able to free up some of those spaces that are there, as well as to free up some of the spaces that we have currently in our building that are compartmentalized as a result of the amount of offices and hallway space that we have. And the other thing that I think that is vastly understated for our communities that we really don't have a community center. We don't have a large community room at this point in time, and I think that our building being, centrally located would be a perfect housing spot to have those meetings for the public, as well as to have trainings that would be, we could actually invite other agencies in, where we could host it, where we could, seek a benefit from that. So I think that the reason I'm here is to let you know, one, we haven't spent any money on that project. We have not done anything with that project because we've recognized that we need something a little more broader. Our scope needs to be bigger. And Sue, is there something you maybe want to piggyback with that conversation?
No, we've been in talk with our engineering on call that Adam
Right.
brought forward to the board. And so the chief wants to have a needs analysis done for the entire building. And to do that, I think we need to go back to CIP, because this was a project approved by CIP and
Right.
Planning Board. But he wanted to make you aware of his plan before he took that step in May to go before CIP.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Anybody got any comments?
We can, if we can get more efficiency out of the square feet that we have, I think we need to do that. And storage has become an issue in many of the town buildings.
That's an
Well,
issue.
isn't there that off-site storage at companies that do that for you?
There are companies, and that's one of the things we need to look into, because, we were required to keep permanent paper copies of some items, and then there's a whole storage schedule by the state. Some may only be 7 years for the finance.
And then there's the
paperwork.
issue with, under the right to know, how much time would it be able to take us to be able to put our hands on those files if we were need to reproduce it. So, where the storage would be is another main indicator as well. But, that was kind of my point. I just wanted to make sure I was able to update you. I realize I've kind of done it at the end of the year, but, I think that we had to really wrap our head around what we're trying to accomplish in best way that I could be able to explain it to you folks as to what we're trying to do. And we're trying to really have a vision for, for succession, I guess, as well, so.
All right.
So
Okay.
Go ahead, Carl.
So, we have a record retention policy, and are we adhering to that? Because I work in big organizations. I know there's this tendency to hang on to stuff, even though you don't need to hang on to stuff. So are we purging records inappropriate?
The honest answer is no.
Yeah.
We're hanging on to it because we don't have personnel, as most places don't, to be able to focus on just that task, to be able to purge when you need to. And that was a big problem for us, years ago when we were dealing with our evidence and property storage. And, through our IMC, we were able to records management system that we got, we were able to identify those items that were able to be purged on a regular, basis. But, as you can imagine, we have files that go back to the 60s and 50s, that are still there. And, so, it's a problem. And, I think moving forward, if we had a kind of a master plan as to what to do with those. Now, I will say that because of our new records management system, we are actually majorly downsizing the amount of records or paper records that we need to maintain. But the old records that weren't electronic, and those ones are all still there.
So are we digitizing as many documents as we can, or?
Now,
There's a
yes,
need to-
but from those ones from, like I said, the 60s and 70s, they're still there.
Alan?
Is there anybody that contracts to do work like that we could get to come in and destroy the documents you don't need? They know that, look, okay, we'll contract you from let's say
We do.
70 or 80 back, you can,
There are, but and I don't know if I'm any different than any other chief. There's always the fear of throwing away something that, oh my God, we're going to need one day. And it, when we've had interns that have come in and taken some of this project on in small bites, we've always had to have direct oversight with what's being purged and what's being taken, because there are sensitive documents that are there that need to be sifted through to be able to determine if in fact they're okay to be purged or not. So to have somebody who is vetted is one thing, but to have somebody else that doesn't have a direct link with the PD is probably another thing too.
I get that, but, I mean, I guess if we're talking about some records in the 40, 50, 1950, we're in 2016, 17. Some of those are gonna be, should be just getting rid of anyway, I would.
Some of them should be, some of them cannot.
Well, no, but, so is that not easy enough for somebody to distinguish what you can keep and not keep? Or do have to keep or not keep?
If
It seems like that'd be pretty cut and dry if you're looking at something in 1955, and the case is like,
Yeah, the short answer would probably be no, and just because trying to determine from a layperson as to what's an arrest record and what's not may be not so easy to distinguish.
I can share with you firsthand experience, it's not that easy. It takes a person to put their eyes on each and every document and be trained in how to identify which documents can be purged and which ones need to be
Yeah.
saved, and it's a humongous undertaking.
And here, for finance, for example, it's more black and white.
Yeah.
And so they mark their boxes, can be destroyed in this year, and they go in the vault, and then once a year, they go down the vault and pull out what has to be purged.
They got tons of confidential information they need to properly maintain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, put that in your mind as we gotta start working on that. If you need more room, there's one way to find some.
Absolutely. I appreciate the board hearing me out. It was something that we had gone over kind of round and round with Sue as the best way to couch this for you all, but I wanted you to know that we were trying to utilize the amount of space and the amount of money that was available to us and use it the best way possible, so.
Now, as a result of that, since we're postponing doing this job, some of that impact fee money will expire before he gets to use it. But another project that was identified and okay during the CIP project to use those impact fees was the fire station project, because it was an expansion. So that was approved by Planning Board and CIP to use some impact fees for that. So you could use that amount that would be expiring by, you probably won't get to this project, by September. And that would be $27,222. So you could repurpose that, since we did have signed contracts for the fire station much earlier this year, you could repurpose it for that.
Okay, well, we can take that up in the next couple of months, but I would say that's what we would do.
Chief says he's going to buy me a coffee for that, just so you know.
Yeah. I think he owes you more than a coffee, actually.
yeah.
Thank you, folks, and Merry Christmas to
Merry
you all.
Christmas.
Thank you, chief.
Okay, we have a 6:50 appointment with Mr. William Dickerson. This is a request to place an article on the ballot to amend the income limit for the elderly exemptions. Is Mr. Dickerson in?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bill Dickerson, to my friends. I live at 34 DeSaulnier Street and have lived here for 8 years, 34 years in the state of New Hampshire. Thank you for you taking the time to listen to me, and thank you also to all the personnel here in Town Hall who have been most helpful in trying to avail me of some of the previous information and encouraging me to take the time to waste your time. New Hampshire, under Title V, Chapter 72, provides conditions for elderly exemptions. Now, there are several tenets to this in terms of how long a person must be a resident, how long they've owned their property, how much money they can make, how much they have as personal assets. My sole purpose here is to look at Section 39A and defining the qualifications for an elderly exemption. Now, as I said, the cities and towns also have the option of increasing the maximum that the state allows. That's usually based in some respects on how many elderly live here, what the town's budget is, what the needs of people are. Goffstown last addressed this cap at the 2007 town meeting. Article 20, which was recommended by the Board of Selectmen at that time, passed 1,832 to 706. That set the maximum net combined income for a married couple at $50,000. What I am seeking consideration, or asking the board to consider, is to increase that maximum net combined income for a married couple by $5,000 to set a new cap at $55,000. I'm not seeking to change any other provision of the guidelines presently in force. I think they all work well. Given how living costs have increased over the last 9 years, many elderly homeowners have been forced to remortgage their residence, sell it, take on additional jobs just to maintain their quality of life. I'm sure nobody, everybody realizes that situation entirely. I'm retired. I have Social Security. Last year, we had no increase. This year, I have had the maximum increase, the benefit of $5 per month. Now, I have been troubled trying to figure out how I'm going to spend this $5 to make for a better, a more convenient way. That doesn't even come close to handling what Medicare costs and health insurance is going on. So I'm respectfully requesting that the board consider this change, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take it up on, do we want to take it up now, or?
You can take it up now. I've got the language in the draft warrant, which was the next item on mine anyway. So if you want to go to Article 10. Now, our assessor thought that if you're going to consider doing this, that that's a 10% increase in the joint one, that we also do a 10% increase in the single person income limit also, which would bring the $35,000 up to $38,500.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And like Mr. Dickerson said, it hasn't been done since 2007, so this would be an appropriate adjustment.
Go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we raise the,
Elderly exemption.
income limit for elderly exemptions for a couple from $50,000 to $55,000, and for a single person from $35,000 to $38,500.
Second, if we're close.
Okay. Motion by Collis, seconded by Allen. Any discussion?
Sue, do we have any understanding about the demographics of our community? How many properties this would extend the waiver of assessments?
We don't, we can tell you on the MS1 how much is on there now, but we couldn't predict how many this would open it up to.
I don't think it's the fact of.
But there's a few cases every year that just miss it by a couple $100.
Well, you don't know what the mix is going to be.
Right.
From year to year, how many
It's true.
are moving
People
into
come and
town, moving
go.
out of town.
Mhm.
Just seems like the right thing to do, given.
I know in the state you can get fiscal impacts on changes to state laws, but this is really tough. This one, we experienced this the same time when we did the veterans one. It was tough to guesstimate.
Well, there's a motion on the floor. Again, it was to increase from 50 to 75 on, 50 to 55 on a couple, and from 35 to 38.5 on single, on the elderly exemptions.
Great.
Any discussion, David? Did you have anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, passes.
Thank you.
It'll be on the ballot.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, one and all.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Are we at committee reports now?
No,
Yeah.
we're at the review of the whole warrant that I just
Okay, I'm
passed out.
sorry, yep. Okay.
Because we do need a vote from the selectmen now that the operating budget is done. And I think the only change made by the budget committee last time was the removal of the parking lot from the budget, the police parking lot, because the
And then, yeah, that's right, because we made the decision to take the fire truck monies out of the following year's capital reserve fund, or 2017's capital reserve
Right.
fund. And we took the police chief, along with DPW director, didn't think they'd be able to do that parking lot at the police station next year, so he pulled that out and put it off a year.
So I think that's the only difference since the last time you saw this warrant, this operating budget. So their final number they're moving forward to town meeting with is a budget of 20 million.
$20,296,990?
20 million.
20,000, no, it'd be 20 million.
That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
$296,990.
So
They
we
recommended it 1101.
can take a motion on these individually. I make a motion to move Article 2 onto the ballot.
This would be a recommendation,
Yes.
Yes.
so your motion is to
Recommend
recommend?
that it be placed on the ballot.
No, we're doing recommendations on it. So on the
Oh, that's
ballot-
right, we're going to do that first.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Collis has made a motion to recommend.
And Mark seconded
Right.
that?
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Seeing none. Article 3.
Article 3 now, you've seen the collective bargaining agreement cost items. 2017 will be $16,773. 2018 will be $32,557.
Collis?
Yeah, make a motion to recommend Article 3. And should I also wrap the CBA into that motion? Sue, can I?
That, Article 3 is a CBA,
It's
yeah?
a CBA, that's why. I
Well, then
mentioned-
I want to be specific that it's to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the Teamsters Union, which is DPW employees.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Seeing none. The next one would be the.
We did the next
down.
one. We did 4.
Yep, that's done.
We've done 5.
5.
So
6.
now the 7 is the capital reserve fund that you just said to put on, and now we just need a recommendation on the capital reserve fund for land.
Make a motion to accept Article 7 as presented to us this evening.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Seeing none.
And then we've got 8 and 9, so now we go to 10, which is the elderly exemption, just voted on, now we just have to have a tally vote for the recommendation.
Motion to recommend Article 10.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Seeing none. That passes.
Thank you.
That's going to go 5-0.
And I will notify the Budget Committee of these changes and get them a new draft warrant article for their public hearing on the 11th.
Seven o'clock, Town Administrator's Report.
We're already through.
Committee reports. Budget Committee, you just heard that, what the Budget Committee did. It wasn't, there was this discussion, we went through the budget, we had the reduction from the police department, we came up with that number. And then we also had Diane from the library come in and discuss that renovation. And there was a little confusion on the exact number, but now that we have the exact number, they decided to pull it. Or request the selectmen not put that on the ballot. So that is no longer on the ballot.
So I think you probably should want to take a vote on withdrawing it, since trustees have recommended withdrawing that article from ballot. It's not on the draft warrant I
That's
just
not on
gave
draft
you.
warrant, so.
So you just approve the draft warrant, is that enough?
I would think so, right?
Well, it was never anything, we never took a vote on it in the previous, so.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Highway safety?
Yes, I thought the chief might still be here. Highway safety met, and it was mostly about stop signs, some on Smith Road and Maple, and another end of town, which escapes me right now, but that was mostly, the whole meeting was about 2 signs, and the chief is gonna get together with Adam, and they're gonna write up something and bring it before us later on.
Conservation?
Conservation Commission met on December 15th, held a public hearing relative to a conservation easement. This is the, hang on, hold with me here. The Florence May Tar Trust property to the Piscataquag Land Conservancy, with the town of Goffstown and being the reverting property interest. It's about 66 plus or minus acres on the south and east sides of the Uncanute Mountains. After a brief presentation from Tom Jones of the Piscataquag Land Conservancy. There was some discussion amongst the Conservation Commission members. David Neiman motioned to accept in accordance with RSA 36-A:5, release an amount not to exceed $25,000 from the Land Use Change Conservation Fund to cover the legal and administrative costs associated with the conveyance. It was seconded by Susan Tucker and unanimously approved by a 5-0-0 vote. There was discussion on milfoil and increasing the $17,000 that was set aside for addressing milfoil in both Glen Lake and Namaski Lake. And so that would bring the total to $26,580. We did get a report recently from Amy Smagula from DES regarding the current condition of milfoil in both of those water bodies and the fact that we need to keep after it, particularly in Namaski. It's particularly bad down there. We seem to be getting a pretty good handle on it in Glen Lake, but still needs some attention. There's a bunch of correspondence that we reviewed. We heard a proposal for a two-lot subdivision on Parker Station Road. Recommended the planning board that the edge of the wetland and surface water conservation buffer be marked on the property and identified in the language of the deeds. And we heard a proposal for a 4-lot subdivision, creating 3 new lots. This is on Lesnick Road. This is a conceptual plan provided for comments to the planning board. Recommended that they conform to the 100-foot. This is a property where a foundation was put in, didn't comply with the setback, the 100-foot setback in the district, so there was much discussion about that. The commission is going to make a recommendation to the planning board that they consider requiring the property owner to remove that foundation before they approve the subdivision. And that was it.
One question.
Yep.
It states on here that the Namaski Lake, they would think about limiting the use of motorboats.
Yeah, there's always discussion about that. Whenever you're talking about milfoil, we're always talking about limiting motorboats because, you know, it's the motors that chop up the milfoil and allow it to spread. But there's no action taken on that. I mean, if you're going to restrict motors on water bodies that are state-owned water bodies, there's a state process you have to go through. And it's pretty rigorous before you can start limiting horsepowers or limiting to electric motors only and those sorts of things. So it was a discussion, but there's no action
Okay.
taken.
The only public access to that is through Manchester, right?
Yeah, down by the DN.
Only
it's-
public access for motorboats.
For boats,
You
right.
can go in through canoes.
Yeah, it's a couple of spots.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple of spots.
Okay.
Go behind the prison, you go down the road behind
Can
the
drag
county
stuff down.
farm, you can go down there. HDC.
I attended the Historic District Commission's meeting on the 14th of December, and first item discussed was the commission is interested in applying for a 2017 grant. The funds from that would be used to develop guidelines for the Historic District regulations. And once that grant application is written, it'll come before this board for approval to be submitted. There also, the Grassmere Town Hall is on the State Register of Historic Places, but the words describing that historic place was done in 1990, and the commission is interested in submitting an updated version of why that building should be on the Historic Places Register. And last item, I took off my hat as a selectman's rep to that meeting and put on my hat as an officer in the Lions Club. And I made the commission aware that the Gulfstown's Lions Club is inviting them to submit project ideas, which the town's Lions Club could then fund as a gift back to the community. As a sidelight, this same conversation took place with the library trustees and the Park Department Commissioners. That's it for Historic District.
Planning board?
Yes, I attended the planning board held on 15 December. Quite a few items. First, there was a lot which is, the lot which is directly behind the town hall, map 3488. And purpose of that review is to put a warehouse building on the property. The applicant requested a continuance, which was then approved to be to date uncertain, and consequently, all the abutters will be re-notified. Second item is...
Can I just ask you a question on that? Are we gonna leave that thing sitting there forever, or?
I would assume that the building inspector is aware of the safety of the building, and if he's happy, then it's safe.
I think we all expected it to be done sooner than this, but there's been some continuances from the applicant.
My question is...
What was the original deal?
Yeah.
That's,
The original deal was he could take it, but he couldn't install it until he got planning board approvals.
Planning board's holding them all back.
Well, in
No,
no,
they-
he's asked for a continuance each
Yeah.
time.
And what's the reason for the continuances?
Well, first he came in with waivers, right?
I'll take that.
Okay.
The plan for that property was insufficient in many aspects. He now has to seek cross easements as to how the property is accessed, and there's access on the other properties from that. And these cross easements have to be registered deeds, easements, and those haven't been prepared. The driveways onto that property didn't show them being confined to a proper width of a driveway. And beyond that, they were on somebody else's property. They were looking for if an item is not a driveway, is it properly, does the plan show it's going to be seeded, loamed? And this discussion about landscaping. All of those weren't shown on the plan presented to the planning board, and in order for him to show those details, he needs more time, apparently.
Collis?
Can I follow up? Does the plan call for a two-story building as it is now sitting up on the cribs?
I agree that there's a conflict there, because it's the existing building sitting on a pad. Now, obviously, there's only one garage door, so that gives you the impression that it's a single story.
So what is the concept, well, they brought in conceptual plans.
The planning board did not address the applicant's definition of this building as being two-story,
Okay.
other than he had a pencil sketch that showed that inside the current structure as we see it is a loft. And that may have been the origin of the idea that it's two stories.
I guess we'll have to wait and see when further plans come in, because I'm concerned that it's moving towards a two-story structure when it was portrayed to us that it was historical nature, and we wanted to preserve the historical nature of it, and the historical nature of it was a one-story garage building, not sitting up with a second step. So I'll just throw that out there, and we'll continue to watch this and be concerned about it, because that clearly was what my understanding of it was, the way that it was brought to us.
And I believe that's what we were sold.
Yep.
And I'm concerned about it sitting out there for who knows
Yeah.
how long. I don't think we can continue to leave it like that.
Sue, is there an option here for our zoning planning officer to get back with the applicant and ask him to redefine how many stories this building is?
Or the use, I mean, the intended use, a single-story
Well,
building.
it's
I know it's a
defined
warehouse,
as an
but it's-
intended warehouse for a plumbing activity. But
My understanding is the building inspector was requiring that there be a foundation, not a slab anymore for
Well,
this.
that's different. You know, I'm also concerned because there was, the agreement was he needed to do it quickly, obviously to accommodate the fire station expansion. So we're gonna move it quickly and put it in its new location quickly. It's not in its new location, it's sitting up on cribs. That's
It
not,
was
that's not in
pending,
its new
yeah.
location.
Can we ask the owner to remove it and get it down, settle it down, so, I mean, it's not in the condition it's in? I mean, do we have the right to do that?
Safety. It's a
Yeah.
building inspection.
I'd like to have
Issue.
Mark or somebody.
It's a building inspection
Somebody go
issue.
over and see.
Figure out what's going on.
We can't keep that, not only, it's an eyesore.
It is
I mean,
horrible.
you know,
Well, we let it happen, we let it come across the street in one piece, and, and then before you had all those permits in place, and that's much, I'm not saying it's much, it's our fault to a certain extent, because we said, okay, yeah, we can take it across the road. I know what the deal was, but nobody in our seats knew what was gonna happen on the other end of all these other boards. You're gonna have people saying that the other board's not gonna let this happen,
I think there was an
You're
ex,
right to a certain extent, Alan, but we thought we were gonna take that building, move it across the street, set it on the ground. It's
Well,
not-
I agree with you.
It's not
I
that, it's
understand it.
up in the air.
Yep.
And that's why I asked, what was the reason for all the continuances?
Yeah.
I think it may be still in the air for one reason, is they still have to move it to a different location, they'd rather let it all back down again. I get that, but if they don't know the location.
I'm
it's-
hearing that the applicant isn't ready to proceed because he needs to respond to all the issues that the
If he
planning
is
board has
successful
raised.
with the cross easement deeds, they need to be registered with the county register of deeds.
You got anything else, David, on the planning board?
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
The address is 476 East Dunbarton Road, otherwise map 12, lot 26-1. That is a property that's going to apply to be subdivided into 2 lots. Originally, it's 15 acres. The parent lot will remain as 13 acres, and a new lot of just over 2 acres for a potential new house to be built. That application was approved. The next was a lot on Parker Station Road. Essentially, it's right at the town boundary on the left as you go out of town on Parker Station Road, map 7, lot 25. The applicant wants to take that property, which is 3.8 acres, subdivide it into 2 lots, both of which have potential for a new house to be built. That motion was approved. The next one was a conceptual plan review of a 4-lot subdivision located on Lesnick Road. Potentially 3 new houses could be built on the subdivided lots. Much comment during the board due to stormwater issues on that property and wetland. But that was a discussion for conceptual review, and the applicant was given much to think about before he comes back again. The 5th item is reviewed the property on 93 Mountain Road, where the night before, I believe Collis just made the remarks about that. The zoning board gave approval for the applicant to proceed into a building permit where the property, the house to be built would be in the outer 50 feet from a stream. And the planning board decided that the zoning board does not have that authority to grant permission in the outer 50 feet, and that the applicant must come to the planning board to seek that relief.
So the ZBA approved it? Is that what,
They
who directed
approved-
the person to go to the ZBA first?
The ZBA regulates the inner 50 feet. That's a zoning board issue. The outer 50 feet is a planning board issue. It's by special exception. So the applicant would have to first get ZBA approval, then go to the conservation, make a presentation to the Conservation Commission, including a report from a wetland scientist talking about whether the functions and values of that outer 50 feet would be compromised by the plan. And then the Conservation Commission makes a recommendation to the planning board as to whether or not they think the special exception should be granted.
And then it goes,
And then it's done.
then it's done.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave, I'm sorry.
That is it.
Library, you went to the library meeting too, didn't you? No?
No, sir.
Nobody.
Nobody went to that. Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec met last night, so in 9 minutes, I'm gonna go from memory here.
Oh, boy.
Have a cookie.
You know, there was a lot of discussion. A lot of the programs are going really well. They're getting all filled up, but Rick's really pleased with the way that's going. Rec Desk is up and running now, so they're taking online registrations for all of their programs. That's been very successful. Discussed the, typical financials and whatnot. Spent a lot of time talking about the legacy project that the Lions Club is looking for, and asking the Parks and Rec Commission if they had any suggestions for projects that might fit that bill. They had some questions. They weren't sure exactly how much money. They thought it was around in the $20,000 or $25,000 range from what people understood. A couple of things were discussed. I mentioned maybe a gateway to the athletic complex where you could have a couple of granite pillars with some wrought iron gates and some bronze plaques identifying it, and at least that way, now you're bringing the public perception that something actually is going on out there, because all the rest of the work is out and back and down the hill and in the gravel pit. And maybe if you could build a gateway, it would spur people's interest to maybe contribute some money to help out and whatever. I also brought up a suggestion. I don't think it's possible, but it would be really nice to have a pedestrian bridge installed over the river off the old abutments from the covered bridge. Probably way beyond the $20,000 to $25,000 they're talking about, but maybe there's some opportunities. I know I've spoken with folks at DOT, and they do at times surplus their obsolete bridges, the ones that are narrow, too small, and don't meet today's design standards. Maybe there's an opportunity to work with DOT to get some structure at least moved down to the property and use that as a stimulus to it. It would be really great to reconnect that side of the rail trail over to the village proper. And, other people talked about electronic scoreboards. I said, I don't think that's really what they're looking for, because they all have a finite life. Eventually they'll become obsolete and then they're gone. I think really what you're looking for is something that's long-lasting and enduring and is going to be for the generations. So I wasn't really hot on those, but so that was some of the discussion. David, just
Thank you.
put that in back. And that was it.
Okay, anybody got anything else? We have nothing in new business. The old business is all working. Still nothing going on there. Anybody got anything else? Sue?
We have a public.
Motion, Mark?
Motion to go to non-public, RSA 91A:32, A, compensation, B, hiring, and D, real estate.
Second, yeah, go for it. Yes.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Yes.
That'll conclude this evening's public portion of the December 22nd Goffstown Board of Selectmen. And we wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Good night.